second for that to come through. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Learn It Live. I'm here with Joe. Today, we're going to continue on learning about attributes. So we've got 2 more filter installs. We're going to talk a little bit about the product itself, how it works. We'll do a little recapping about what attributes are, and then dive into, these 2 live builds. So what's up, Joe?
How you doing, Reimer? I'm great.
Yeah, out here, ready to get into it again,
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so do we want to do any, let's just do a real quick, just a high level attributes overview. We launched this at No Code Conf. Most everybody understands what's happening, but there's been amazing feedback. It's really easy to implement. As you'll see during the stream today, it's not crazy to just go in and add this type of functionality to the site. And so we'll answer whatever questions. If you have questions about attributes, if you have, anything you want to know about functionality, what we're working on, with these attributes, feel free to leave that in the comments and we'll get to it as we go. Joe, any other thoughts there before we jump right in? Oh, we lost your audio again, Joe. Doggone. Yeah, bear with us for a second. We've been having some audio issues. That's why we were a little late on. We're having a little bit of audio issues. Joe, can you hear us? Check text 1 2. We may need to just switch to your AirPods there, huh? Check. Test. Joe. Is he frozen? Okay, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Just bear with us here. I think we will get this stuff. There he's back. Joe, we got audio on you. Check, Joe. No, you may have to switch over to those AirPods for today. Damn.
Right. Now you hear me.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. You'll be getting a little bit less audio quality from me, but that's not the important part. The important part is what we're about to implement here. It'll be just as easy to follow. And I would like to give an announcement to those people who have been following attributes. We've made a really nice update based on one of the most requested features. So we have our finsweet.com/vote for you to vote on new features of attributes. And there were a few that we always heard. So we went ahead and implemented one of those. I'm going to go and share my screen here and show you it.
Nice. Okay. Give me 1 second. I think I can get to that screen. Okay, this here.
Nice.
Hang on, I think that's still my screen, but if you give me 1 second, I'm gonna bring your screen in here. Okay. There it is. Ooh.
Nice.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. It's an update to CMS filter. We have a new attribute available to you. And that new attribute is called initial state. We've had a lot of people asking, how do I make my list of items show nothing initially? I want 0 to show, and only when the user interacts with the filter UI does that list update. That list starts to show items. So it's not an empty state, it's an initial state. Empty state is when somebody selects the filters and there's no results. Empty. We don't have any results to show you based on your selections. Initial is you don't have any filters applied. Let's go and apply some filters. Right now you are filtering nothing. So all you have to do is add fs cms filter element initial as the value.
Mm.
You can add this to any div block, and this will essentially turn on the initial state option for CMS filter. You can have text in here. You can give the user a message like start playing with the filters, or it can be a blank div if you want truly nothing to show. So we just released this earlier today. And again, this was because we heard a lot of these comments in the community. So we went ahead and built it.
Joe, tell me a little bit like what were the use cases? Because I do remember we got a couple like examples and people were like, how do I do X, Y, or Z? And yeah, it was that. It was exactly setting this initial state. So can you explain maybe like a sample use case or why that would be super valuable for people?
Well, I think a lot of this is down to preference. This I don't think that there's really specific use cases. At least I can't think of one now that you would need initial state. But it's a way to keep your list neat and organized. Yeah, let me think of one. Last week, Justin on the stream was filtering through doctors. If I'm from New York, I don't care about doctors in Alabama. I don't care about doctors in California. I only care about doctors in New York. So instead of me going to the page and I just see every doctor where I don't really care about 95% of them, I can now see no list and it says, hey, select your doctor, select your state to see the doctors in your state. I select my state, then my doctors show.
Got it.
So actually, in that use case, it's almost like a conditional step,
Yeah.
right? Select this, then you can go and see this.
Yeah. 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 I guess that, and I could see where, you might want to like just start with a clean slate there and
Hmm.
then start populating results as they start selecting these filters. I could totally see a use case for that. Um,
Hmm.
okay, great. So I think last week we ended with Mustafa. We
Hmm.
had him in the background because we couldn't get into the site. So today we're back with Mustafa, and I think we have access to his site, right, Joe? So should we just go ahead and
Yes.
pull that up? And let me do one thing here. Yeah, go ahead and do that. I'm going to pull up everyone who's in the comments. I'm sorry, I'm switching over to a different view here so I can say what's up to everyone in the comments. But yeah, feel free to jump right in while we do that.
Great. So I'm going to show you the finished product. For this one, I actually implemented it before this stream. And the reason is this content wasn't set up exactly how I would want to have it set up, but it works. It's all there. I just had to understand the structure. And I think a lot of you may have to do this also. That sometimes you'll find attributes fits perfectly into your structure. You have one collection list and you can filter through it. This had some variables. I had to really understand what I was doing and what was available to me. So I'm going to show you this finished product and we're going to go and implement it. It's a little bit different than the ones we did last week.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Here, real quick, before we jump in, let's say what's up to, I see Grace Walker's in the audience, Geronimo, Kayla Williams, Kyle's in the house. What's up, Penny? Ukulele's here with us. Vimalan, Armando, Tanette. Hello, Tanette. Maria, what's up, Maria? Christina, Christopher Coleman's in the house. What's up, everybody? We appreciate you hanging with us. We're just diving into the first project here. So bring you back to your regularly scheduled programming now.
I like that line. Okay, this is the live version, the official version. This has CMS library hooked up to it. And you can see as I am filtering through items in this list, it is filtering. Now this uses a keyword filter. CMS library was all about keywords. You put a filter by attribute and you target a keyword. This worked for these bottom radios, but we had to do something a little bit different for the top ones. It didn't have the same structure that we needed. So we actually needed to implement Nest. And we're going to build this. We have hidden text. This is visible now, but this is going to be hidden text inside each of the checkboxes. You can see it's just a little bit different. Short sleeve T, but we need to search for short sleeve. Long sleeve T, we need to search for long sleeve. And then we have these codes down here. Great. So that's what we're going to build. I'm going to build it on Mustafa. Should I build it right on this live t-shirts page, or do you want me to make a duplicate and work on the duplicate page like I did here for the Joe copy?
Whichever's easiest for you. And again, thank you for doing this. I mean, as I mentioned last week, after watching the previous learnings, so much more than what I was expecting, and just seeing that initial state feature as well, really exciting, and can't wait to see how you did this.
Nice. Thank you, Mustafa. I'm going to make a duplicate just because I think that's a good practice. Live stream. Okay. So now we are in here. I am going to apply a class here just to show this. This is a hidden filter. We haven't really seen this yet. This is a filter system that is not visible in the viewport at first. This is totally fine. It doesn't need to be in line with the content. We have this 3D transform. I'm just going to apply this class I have just so we can work with this and we can see what's going on. Now, the first thing is going to be a comment on the filters. We had asked Mustafa to build some filters with forms, and he did that exactly, but there's two forms that are being used for the filtering, and this is not what we want. So you can see I have this form selected, and inside this, there's another form. And we've been seeing this a lot. I think we need to make an update to the docs to make this clear. Only one form can be used for any filtering list. If you have a second form, that means it should be filtering a different list. So we need to do a little bit of reorganization here. So that's exactly what I am going to do here. I'm going to go in this filters holder and I'm going to put one form. I have my form block, and now I can have any kind of structures inside of here, right? This can be wrapped around the whole page. It could be wrapped around the whole filter UI. It doesn't matter, but everything needs to go inside one. I'll remove my initial elements, and let's go in here inside this old filter, the old form, and I'm just going to grab this content. This is exactly what I want here. Oh, hold on. I want this. Oh, come on, it's grabbing the whole form. Sorry. I will. Oh, this is a form element. I see. Okay. We're bringing the checkbox in here. We're bringing the checkbox in here. We are going to now remove this form, right? We have nothing left in this form. We don't need it. Everything in here, we have our checkbox holder, checkbox holder. We're going to put all of these in here. Great. Okay. Now we also need these buttons. This needs to be a checkbox, and Mustafa has put in a button element, which is what we see on this live site, right? These look just like buttons. We're going to create that same exact effect with checkbox. So let's go and do that. I'm going to duplicate this checkbox holder and duplicate the checkbox holder. And now we can go and fill in this content. As I'm doing this, I'm realizing, should I be building the UI or should we start from the UI that I have created here? In here. I don't know.
Mustafa, I think that one's for you.
Sorry, just unmuting myself. Again, whichever's going to be easy, we can keep that if it's not going to cause any issues. But if you feel it's going to be easier just to clean it up a bit, then for the sake of it, because I can then play around with it afterwards.
Okay. In this instance, I am going to just copy what I did here. It could take with explanation, maybe 20 or 30 minutes just to build this. But I'm going to copy what I did, and I'm going to explain every single step that we have here.
Nice.
Joe, and I'm going to grab this whole form block. So this is the finished product of what we were just trying to do. I'll zoom in a little bit more here for you. We have our
Get that notorious Webflow wheel of death.
side of here. And one more delete. There we go. Okay, we have our form block. So we have a column. We're filtering by short sleeve and by long sleeve. Short sleeve, long sleeve. And these are additional options for short sleeve, and these are additional options for long sleeve. The difficulty, or the reason I had to build this, is because these are actually part of different collections. They're going to be pulling very similar data, but the way that the e-commerce is set up, these are different. They have different values to filter through. And we want to show a different text than what's being filtered by. So if I zoom out here and go into settings, you'll see that we have this checkbox label, and the checkbox label does not have an attribute. Even though in the docs we say, put it on the label. You can do this if your label is what you are filtering by. But now we actually have this filter that nobody wants to see this. This doesn't really make sense at first glance. This makes sense at first glance. So look what we have here. We have our CMS filter field subvariant, and subvariant. All of these are part of the same data. And we can go and look at that data inside the build. Let's look at this data inside. Where is it? Subvariant for filtering. This was set up for CMS library, but now we have this great filter right here, long slim V, long slim R. So this field, this CMS field, is going to be used for these checkboxes right here. This is part of a different collection. It's part of a different set of data, long sleeve versus short sleeve. So before we get into short sleeve versus long sleeve, let's just go and build this and make sure that this simple filter works. On each of these, as we saw, we have the sub variant. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it on this same text right here. So this will be custom attributes, field by sub variant. And now when I click this, it's going to be filtering by this. So let's go and see that work. We need to apply a few more attributes here to make sure this is all working. We need on our list, we need FS CMS filter element list. And we're going to apply this filters to the form. This is our form, and we have FS CMS filter element filters. So we have our attribute on the form, we have our attribute on the list. we have our connection of CMS data to the filter UI. Great. Now we'll publish, and this should be working. Does anybody have any questions as I am going? Mustafa, any questions for me? It's okay if you don't.
No, Joe. It all looks fine. I just want to clarify why I use the codes below rather than the round neck and the V neck. I'm assuming it's something that I couldn't achieve, but when I did the filtering by the round neck and the V neck, I couldn't get it to filter out the relevant products. Sometimes it would filter more than one because there's several variants of it. So I had to have the workaround where I used those strange codes, which are obviously hidden in the live website.
Well, I don't know exactly what was happening there. Are you saying with attributes or with CMS filter?
With CMS filter, not with attributes, with CMS filter.
Okay. Yep. So that's a big problem with CMS filter, that it's just a keyword search. So if this is found elsewhere in the product, somewhere else, it's also going to return that. But
Absolutely.
now with attributes, we can make a much better relationship between CMS field and CMS field. That's the key difference. It's not keyword, it's CMS field.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about attributes, which I found before with CMS filter. Even if it was in the product description, sometimes in the title, anywhere else in the collection list fields, if it saw that, it would show it. And
exactly.
That requires some workaround.
Exactly. It was a problem. Absolutely. And that's why we built this exactly with that in mind. So I'm going to click through these. I can still use it like this. I didn't even copy the attribute script. I'm going to do this right from Finsweet extension. I didn't even copy the CMS filter script for attributes.
How dare you?
Which is a novice mistake there.
It's your first time?
CMS filter, I'm going to add the script to the page here.
And if you don't know, this is the Finsweet extension here. You can go to finsweet.com/extension to get this functionality in your Webflow website builder to designer.
Excellent. And also for our preview, I'll just hide my Joe class. Okay, so we're going to see this filtering, just this. We're not going to see any filtering of the top part. The top part is a different data source. It's a different field in Webflow CMS, even though it's really filtering very similar content. So if I reload this, I hover over this, we have our short, slim, rounded, right? All these people have rounded necks. We have the V-neck. We could see all the V-necks coming up, short sleeve. I can also add to this, right? These are not two different forms, two different filters here. This is all together. So I can add to that V-neck, long, slim. There we go. We see the long. I can remove the short. Now we just have the long sleeve. And now we are going to do the rounded long. So this is working. This was easy. This data was right there for us. It was an easy collection. Great. Now, this is not going to work. I don't have anything on here yet. I'll explain why this looks so bad. But we need to have a nested collection to be able to filter through this. It's totally different. Let's go back in here and we'll notice subvariant is different here. I can't add a nested collection to this because there's already a nested collection in here. This is a Webflow limitation. If I try to add a nested collection, you can't have more than one nested collection on a single page. And I need to access this data. I need to access the categories. So look how nice I get my short sleeve, I get my long sleeve right here for me. This is the data I'm looking for. as opposed to products. When I'm in my products, I have, where's this tag?
It should be towards the bottom somewhere, if I remember correctly.
Towards the bottom.
Just above the variants.
Yeah, there we go. So product subvariant, it's a totally different field here. So let's get into nesting. This is going to be a nest instance. First thing I'm going to do is copy this script on the page. So I'll do that in the extension, and I'm in here for nest. I'm going to add the script to the page. Mirella, thank you. Effing thank you for the extension. Thank you for using it, Mirella. I really appreciate that comment. We're excited about it. Nice.
Yeah, we got a couple questions here that we may want to address.
Great.
Let's see. Did you get? I don't want to block. I don't want to interrupt a flow there, though.
No, we're just about to start a brand new thing. So
okay, great.
Now's the time. Yeah.
Okay, so Kyle was asking, is it possible to have an active filter as the initial state? And this was because you were showing the initial state attribute there. But I think you can pass that with URL parameters. So what you're looking for is just to have a filter applied as the initial state. So Kyle, you can do that. I guess maybe not when on page load, like on blank page load, could you set an active filter, Joe, with that, initial state?
Yeah. No, that's different. That's initial of the list.
Right. And
so one option.
Go ahead.
One option, like you said, is the query. You can put a query on the page that could be the default from some other link, and it loads based on that query. We have some other options for you. Option one for checkboxes, we integrate with Webflow's native start check state. So if I do start checked, this is going to be respected by the attribute system. Option two, which we will not implement here because there's no radio, but I can give you a bit of a cool little trick here that you can apply. Checked equals checked. And this is how you can start your radio in an active state. This is not attributes checked equals checked. This is just HTML. So these are your two options in addition to the query option.
Nice.
And actually, we've been hearing so much about starting with active filters that we are now thinking about and considering building specific attributes to make sure that you can make anything that you want active, regardless of checkbox or radio or select or anything.
As the initial state there. That'd be cool. Okay. Ukulele is saying which would be the best platform to share links to our sites so that we can review CMS filter, CMS load in action. You can share them right here in the comments if you just want us to take a look at it. If you're talking about kind of diving in and maybe doing a show like this, diving into the back end, there's a separate link. I think there was an Airtable form for that. Maybe we can share that in the comments as well. Janice is asking, hi, thank you for great content. Does attributes work outside Webflow native hosting? So somebody's asking, can they apply the attributes and get them to work on non-Webflow sites?
That's a good question. That is technically possible, yes. But you have
to, right?
Yeah, you have to trick the website into thinking it's using a CMS collection list. We have integrated so deep into Webflow CMS that we respect all of their classes and their structures. So if you copy the exact CMS list structure, you apply the same default classes that Webflow applies to those elements, you can get it to work. And I'll actually show you an example of something. It's on a Webflow hosted site, but it's not Webflow CMS. And that's our updates page. This updates page is from GitHub. This is living and being hosted in GitHub. We have some custom code on the side that's bringing that into our project. We've applied some fake Webflow CMS classes around it to make it think it's Webflow CMS. And then now we can filter through this GitHub content. And this is filtering using attributes. So this is the workaround now. We are working on a developer API. And when that launches, yes, the sky's the limit. You'll be able to do whatever you want with that in or out of Webflow.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see.
What else we got?
Attributes makes this stuff so much simpler. Loving it for sure. Harshit saying the checked is an amazing trick. So yeah, just remember we're still working with HTML, basic HTML elements here. So if something works with HTML, it'll probably work here inside of this if Webflow gives you the controls inside the designer. Okay, great. Then Ukulele saying, thanks guys, the site is only going live tomorrow, so I'll be able to share it then. Great. We'll look forward to seeing that. So, okay, let's jump back into this last little update here on the site.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to remove this styling here. These were originally buttons, and we have changed it to checkbox. So this is a standard checkbox element, but we can make this look just like a button. It doesn't need to have this checkbox visible. So on this outer wrapper of the checkbox, I can apply a class. This one I'm calling button style. I'm giving it some padding to look like a button. It has position relative. I'll explain that soon. And radius, borders, stuff like this. This is just making it look like a button. And I'm going to also apply a style to this button here, this checkbox, button style. Button style is going to add width 100%, height 100%, absolute, full, z-index -1. What this is doing is hiding the checkbox behind the other content. So we can't select it, we can't click on it, but it's going to be recognized, it's going to be accessible, and we're able to interact with it just like a checkbox. But as you can see, it doesn't look like a checkbox, right? This looks very different than this does. So this is a great way to do it. We're also going to be releasing a filter UI kit that will have a lot of different checkbox and radio options just like this. So go back, watch this stream, figure out how it works, but we're going to release a lot for you to clone.
And Joe, I wanted to remind you on that's why the parent element for that checkbox you made relative, because of the absolute positioning of that box. When you put something absolute, it's going to take it out of the order unless its parent element is relative, in which it'll then just adapt to that size of that container. And so that's how he's hiding that button there. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And we'll do that exactly for this. Great. Okay, so we have everything looking good here. Now we need to filter by this long sleeve, right? This was one of our categories in here. And you can see that it's long sleeve, not long sleeve T. So even just having this T in here, there's going to be some confusion with the filter. So we need the structured text like this. So I need to nest a list in here. We saw before that we couldn't add a nested collection. So I need to go in and do a CMS Nest implementation. So let's go through this now. I'm going to hide this so we have a bit of space to see. And the first thing I do with Nest, I already copied the script. I'm going to add to the Webflow CMS list a new attribute, FS CMS Nest element is the list. I'll zoom in here. Now I need to go and make sure that this is here. This is a very important step and it's already in place. Inside the list, there has to be a URL to the current product or the current item of your primary list. So this is already in, I don't have to add it, but this is a required step. Inside this product card, I'm going to add the tags here. Oops, I can go right in attributes and do FS CMS Nest collection. Now is when we start referencing and making connections to our nested collection, the collection that we want inside of this content. So I'll go and call this our categories. Great, and I'll copy this for future CMS Nest collection categories. Great. The nested list is going to be appended or pasted into this div block. We don't need to see this. We're going to hide this before we go live. We're going to hide the tags, the categories list before we go live, but it has to be inside the item. So now let's go to the bottom of the page and we're going to add a collection list at the very bottom. This collection list is going to be our categories collection. This is what we want to nest, and this thing will actually go and nest inside the item. So I'll go and add a text link. We have a required link to our current categories page. And for organization, I will add the name to this, although not required. Or actually, it is required. Let me take that back. Great. Okay, now we need to make this reference. Remember, a lot of attributes, especially in CMS, is all about creating references from one thing to another. So we're going to put that same FS Nest collection, and we call this the categories. Nice. And now we have one more step. We have to do the same thing on the products template. So I'll go to the products page, products template, and this one is actually still there from when I was testing. We can see this. We have the same thing. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to remove this. Let's do this fresh. Collection list. This is going to be the referenced categories, product fields, categories, which is a multi-reference. This is exactly what we're looking for. So it's only going to show what's referenced for this product item, and each product item will have this. Let's go to text link. Let's link this to the current category page, and we will take the text. Wonderful. Now let's go to this list and make that same referenced connection. Remember, categories. This has to be done in 3 different places. Inside the primary list, at the bottom of the page of the primary list, and on the template page of the primary list. And now everything is referenced. Now we have full control as to what is connected to what, which categories are in which products. So I will hide this for Mustafa so we do not forget.
Mm-hmm.
Hide. Great, hidden. Now let's go back to our live stream, and this should work. This has everything we need. So I'm going to push a publish through, and it's not going to filter yet, but we're going to get our nested collection in there. Once the nested collection is in there, then we can go and start to apply our filters.
Harshit's asking if we can tease the UI kit.
I think we can tease it. Can we get the URL out? Can we hide the URL?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right.
Give me one.
Yeah, let's tease it.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I'll do that.
All right, let's test our nested collection here. There we go. So we have our nested items showing up. Now these are in the item. Now we can reference our CMS field inside the filter. I use the word reference a lot, but understand that we're making one reference for all the CMS Nest items and then a reference from the filter UI to these newly nested items. And the only thing we care about in these is the short sleeve and the long sleeve. We have other items in here, right? We have the V-neck, which we actually don't care about in this filter. We have what else do we have? I guess that's it for this page. But you can see this e-commerce is bomber jackets, hoodies, and t-shirts. So there's a lot of other content here that we don't care about. So we're actually not going to use a CMS collection list. And you may have noticed we didn't use the CMS collection list in the first filter that we set up. In all of the other examples, if we're making a reference to the Webflow CMS field, we normally put in the CMS collection list to generate these topics, these contents. But we don't need that for here. This is different. This is all being done manually, subvariant, not in a collection list. And same exact thing for here. I'll remove these so we do it together. Okay, we'll call this the CMS FS CMS field, CMS filter field. And this is going to be our primary variant. Okay, and as primary variant. So instead of searching for every single one of these, we're just searching long sleeve and short sleeve because these are the only two checkboxes inside this primary variant. Yes.
As I was watching you put these in there, I'm wondering if with the extension, could we have an autofill in that attributes field? So when you go to add an attribute and I start typing fs dash, do I get like an autocomplete, like in a code, editor or something like that, where it's like, oh, which attribute do you want to use? Here's a list of, and I can, you can just click and, like it just, that'd be cool.
We are working on some very interesting things around that topic.
Ooh.
So yes, the integration from attributes to Finsweet extension is not over. It's just the start. We're just testing out what we can do with Finsweet extension. But yes, we have a lot of plans to more fully integrate attributes to the extension.
Nice.
Okay, so we have our primary variant, and now we have to apply this to this nested collection. We're going to do this down here because this is actually where this content is going to be generated from. So I will go and apply this right to the text here. Not conditions. I'm going to call this FS. Oh, I have it on my clipboard. Yeah. Primary variant. And now all of these nested items that will be here on page load have this attribute, primary variant. So now when our primary variant here is searching for long sleeve, it's searching through this list. And through all of the references we made, through the work we did on the template page, we know exactly what should be inside each of these. So I think those are all the steps. I'm pretty sure we are ready to publish and check this. I don't think I forgot anything.
The nervous moment right before that page refresh, and you're like, will it all work or not? What's up, Michael? Saying he's late to the party, but glad he caught part of CMS Nest. Yeah, for sure. And for anybody who's watching the YouTube DVR, should be available so that you can like go back if you want, if you need to miss, or if you miss something, you can like scroll back 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, and then catch up to live. So.
Okay, Webflow froze on us in here. Let's reload Designer. Let's see if that publish went through. I'm not sure if it did. Let's see. If this works, then it did. Short sleeve, no, did not go through.
Are you dragging and dropping that selector filter thing?
This? Yeah. No. This has a move effect.
Oh, okay.
And since we're viewing it here, it's still doing the move.
Got it.
Okay, let's get this published through. While we wait, I'll talk about a very interesting update, another update we have based on user feedback, based on what the community is asking. A lot of people want to use a drop down. Oh, come on. A lot of people want to use a drop down inside the filter system. And we allow you to do this for sort, but we don't allow you to do it for filter. And we thought about how to implement drop down into filter, still using form elements, but the drop down where the current filter is put in the top of the drop down. So our top solution here is to actually create something that's going to fully customize the select element. So in a week or two, maybe 3 weeks, you're going to be able to fully design a native form select element, which is near impossible without a third-party solution. It doesn't accept CSS. It doesn't accept so many different things throughout the select element, but we're actually going to let you build that select element and then design it exactly how you want to. So if you're one of the people that want to use the drop down for filtering, that is coming in a much better version.
Nice.
And this is not loading for us. I don't know.
We've broken Webflow.
We have broken Webflow here. This is not responding.
Even on just like a hard page refresh, huh?
Yeah.
Dang. Oh, that's the ugly one right there. It means it's all over. All right, now it'll work, you know.
Okay, it told us that it published.
If it does it again, should we do what I mentioned last week? That if you go to the settings and publish from there, it tends to publish quicker when this type of thing happens.
Nice. Okay. We can try that. We got a quick publish. Let's see if it works. Okay, we have our nested collection here. We're going to filter by short sleeve. Okay, it didn't work. Oh, long sleeve works. Maybe I have a typing mistake here. Long sleeve is working. So you can see that we have long sleeve selected in both the V-neck and the round, right? We have V and we have round options. So we have this successfully working here. Short sleeve is working, okay? And you can see we have short sleeve in the V and the round. Great. Long sleeve, short sleeve. We can go short sleeve and we can go, oh, of course, there's no long sleeve, short sleeve combinations, but we can do short sleeve and this. We can click around to this and select any of these all at the same time. They're all part of the same filtering system. So this is working. Now let's talk a little bit about the styling. And before I do that, I'll stop for any questions or comments.
I have one or a point to maybe make here, and maybe Mustafa can answer this, or maybe this is because it seemed like there was some conflict there, right? If you have one of the top filters is short sleeve and one of your bottom filters is long sleeve, you inherently have a conflict there. So is that something we could fix with just the naming? Is that like something that should, you know, like what's the best way to handle that? Do you know, maybe just make sure you don't use the same name when you're referencing two different filter elements, right? Because it seems like that's where the conflict is, or because it would be smart to be able to sort by short sleeve and then click V-neck and not have to know short slimmer or short whatever, you know, is for those things. So I'm just wondering, Mustafa, that could be like an information architecture question that is causing that conflict here rather than, you know, anything on the filter side.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an improvement that can be made there. The reason it gives a conflict is because it's a short sleeve. You're looking for a short sleeve tee that's V-neck, but you're checking it on the long sleeve V-neck list. So I obviously need to play about with the UI to make sure that, you know, to improve that. There's definitely something that can be improved there, because there's a short sleeve V-neck, but it's the filter there that you can see under short sleeve. Maybe have that disappear when short sleeve is selected, and then the right side will disappear. I can do something like that with the transitions. But that's why that's the reason for the conflict. Yeah, and that filter slide is normally hidden because I didn't want to take up too much real estate, especially on mobile. There's about 80% of the people that come on this site mobile. It's what I get from analytics. So that's why I hide it. And also, there's not more than 6 colors anyway, so I haven't added all those different filters to it to make it as simple as possible, and you can scroll through it really quickly.
Got it. Okay. Nice. Okay. Joe, where we at functionality wise here? We do have Steven in the background waiting for the next project. Are we at a good swapping point here, or do we have other attributes to throw onto this thing?
That's it. We have this filter working. It is filtering the data reliably. It's not relying on the keywords that was causing a bit of an issue on CMS library. And yeah, I guess I'll say, Mustafa, do you have any questions? Is there anything that's missing here that still needs to happen, or something that you'd like me to do?
No, it's with attributes. It's working a lot better than it was with CMS filter. Literally, my mind is blown with the nesting of the content at the bottom. There's the CMS at the bottom.
Awesome.
Learning new stuff. Just Christmas come not early, right on time. Brilliant stuff.
Hey, it got me thinking here on your information architecture there. I wonder if you could just use a slim as a toggle, you know, and then you have short, long, V-neck, round, and then slim as a toggle. And so you can either turn the slim on and off, and it toggles, you know, that way you don't have V-neck, short, slim, V-neck, you know, regular, short. I don't know. Maybe you get rid of that conflict we were just seeing there.
I'm definitely going to have a look at it again after this. It's all very valuable input and incredible work. Like I said, blown away.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you. And
So
Mustafa,
many new
know
ideas
that
coming to mind. Thank you so much.
you can hide all of this. Remember, you can hide every one of these little keywords, right? These were just added just to filter. These can be hidden. This does not need to be visible. And this can be hidden
normally
as well.
not visible. It wasn't visible in filters either. It was just there as a reference to sort out the issue that no longer exists in attributes. So brilliant.
Yep. And one more thing for you, you can apply an active state. So I'll just show you this in filter. You can apply, where am I? Highlight class, active class. You can apply this active class to those checkboxes so it looks just like a button. So if I go and apply the class name to the identifier of that, I can go into this hidden text and I can say, this is going to have a custom class name. And now that is going to be the class name that's applied to the outer holder so that you are now able to apply that same exact button style that you have on the live site, right? You want this black background, it's all there for you.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, Mustafa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of our community. Everybody watching, Mustafa is here all the time. He is I see him as like a big core part of the community. Thank you for being a part of it.
Cheers, for sure.
Thank you for all the work. We have to thank you. We're just in awe. I am in awe. I can only speak for myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay, great. So thanks for hanging with us, Mustafa. We're going to switch over to Steven now, I think. What's up, Steven?
Hey, how are we doing?
Good. And let's see. We've got Armando saying thanks for the update. Kayla, drop downs on mine, but you can only style the drop down list. I think she's going back to the drop down stuff. Brandon Sense is saying Joe's the Elon Musk of Webflow. So there you go, getting a little bit of love, Joe. And
nice.
Penny's jumping off. We'll see you later, Penny. Thanks for hanging with us. Okay, we're gonna jump into Steven's build. Joe, you got it ready up on your screen there? Anything we need to do?
I do.
Okay, great.
I am logged in. There we go. Okay. So here we are going into the Chive website here. And inside Chive, we have our charities page. And we're going to be filtering by charities. And when I was looking at this one, I realized there's actually a couple of different things and options that we have here. So we're going to go through these options live in the stream here. And the first one being, Stephen, I noticed that there's a bit of a difference between this JetBoost and the Finsweet one. So you're using the select field, and in here you've switched to the checkbox. What would you prefer?
I think, well, the JetBoost one, in short, the CMS was it's actually not part of this. So the CMS in the bottom one is a separate CMS field, if that makes sense. So you have charities, and then you have charity types. That drop down is an additional piece of data we had to add to the charities CMS, if that makes sense. So it's and that was the limitation with JetBoost, is that we couldn't filter by a separate CMS, if that made sense. We had to filter just within the charities. So I had to add a separate data point that was like what type of charity they are, but actually isn't the CMS that's in the second option, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So in short,
Okay.
what I'm saying is the second option ideally, because that's what is more dynamic and less time on mind.
Awesome. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to, do you mind if I go and edit some of these styles, like wrapping this so we can see
Sure.
everything? Okay. Cool. Let's wrap this. Looks like there's some height applied, and we do have a 8 viewport height. I will reset this one on this page. Great. Okay, so we are going to be filtering by this, and this is charity types, and we want to get that charity types collection in here. And now you say charities has a reference to charity types? Yeah, nice. Oh, with a nice big list. This is prime for CMS Nest. So this would never ever work with Webflow's native Nest because there's a max of 5 items. So that's a perfect use case for CMS Nest. So let's go and do that first. Before I start setting up filtering of Nest, I'd like to just get the data in here just so we have it available to us. So I'll do that exactly. I'm going to go into the extension. I have my Nest, and I'll add that script to the page. We have a question from John. John asks, how do I add animation to each CMS item? So John, we do not have the ability to add animation to each item. We made the decision to only animate the list. And the reason is there was a whole list of potential problems that you could have with accessibility, with proper rendering, with displaying only what's needed on the page. And we made a company decision to only animate the list element, not each individual item. That's how CMS library worked, but we actually made the list to the change to the list because we think it's a much stronger and reliable option for you. Okay, so we have Nest here on the page. Let's go and add our FS CMS Nest collection. And this is going to be the charity type. Great. And we will copy this. Oh, this is not right. What am I doing? So this is not where you put the collection. This is the element list. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. We need to go and put that inside of the item. So I'm going to add a div block. This div block is going to have now our collection, and now this will be charity type. We also need to make sure that there is a link to the template page here. So let's check if that exists. It does. Current charity right here. So we need that. It's already in. We're done with everything on the list. Now we are going to go to the bottom of the page here, and we're going to add a new collection list. This one is going to be our charity types. This is what we want to nest in the list. And I'll go ahead and add this text link. The text link must have a reference to the page, and we're also going to add the text in here. Now let's go to the list element and add that same reference, the collection of charity type. Cool. All right, that is it for this page. Now let's go to our charities template page. And here on the charities template page, on the bottom of the page, I can go and add this collection list and do the same thing that we just did. But we have to make sure that we have this multi-reference selected. We don't want this one. We want the multi-reference version. So I'll go do that same thing with the text link. I'm going to choose the current page. I'll add the text here, and we are going to make sure we have this on the list. Charity type. Okay, and I want to make sure that we hide this to make sure that we do not accidentally leave it in here. Do we have a hide class or a hidden class? Stephen, do you mind if I put a hide class in there for you?
Sure thing.
Great. Okay. 3 on this page. That seems not correct. I just want to make sure this is a live build, so I want to make sure. I don't see, do you know if there's a hide class that you're using actively? No. Okay,
No.
this must be a Webflow issue here. Okay, no problem. We're hidden. We have the content where we need it to be. Let's go back to our charities page. And now we're just going to test the nest. We're not doing anything with our filtering yet. We just want to make sure our data is where it needs to be. Nice. There we go. So we have all of this content in here. Nice. And look at this, a very unsupported native nest. And there we go. Remember, this can be hidden. We're not going to hide it now because we want to check to make sure everything's working, but this is not part of the design, no problem. Now let's get into filtering. Let's now go and add our filter script to the page in components, attributes, filter, add script to page. Great. Okay. So we need to put first, let's do our form element, form element. Up a bit more. Okay. So we have our form. It's surrounding all of these, which is perfect, but it's not surrounding our search input. So we're going to put this inside this form as well. So I'm in here, I'm going to drag it. Is this a separate top? Okay, perfect. This needs to go in here. Form block cannot be, oh, okay. We have another instance of double form. Okay, we definitely need to update the docs. If you're watching this video at any point in the future, the docs will be updated with more clear messaging here. So I'm going to go and grab this. This is what we're looking for. Hey, one more nested. Okay. I'm going to, come on, I should be able to add this. In here. I think Webflow should have another icon here to indicate form. This looks very div blocky to me. There we go. Okay. Now we have it in here. We have our, let's add this as well. Let's take this search wrap out. Top text attributes. There we go. And there we go. Yay, nice. Okay, I believe we're good here and I can go remove this. So just to recap what I did, there was a second form surrounding this search input, and every single filter UI element has to be within the same form. So that's why we do not need this. Great. So let's go to that form element. And this is in the form? Yeah. Okay, good. Form. Let's go and add our FS CMS filter. This is going to be an element of filters. And let's do that same element for the list. So we're going to add FS CMS filter element, and that's going to be the list. Cool. We have now added our element wrappers. Now let's go and add our field attributes. We'll start with these checkboxes. So we're going to go and add a attribute of FS CMS filter field, spelled correctly. Filter field. And this will be, let's use the same identifier just so we stay nice and organized. This is going to be our charity types. Charity type, I don't think, it doesn't matter. Charity type. And now let's go and do that same thing down here. Charity type. Okay. All right. So if everything happened as planned, we should have a working checkbox filter here. Cool. Okay, so I am going to choose one of these and we'll see that we have conservation showing up and we have period poverty showing up. It's interesting. I bet this can be because of load more. We're going to need to add load more in here.
Yeah,
But
that
this is working.
they've got like 12 different selectors, I think. So I think they got the most of any. It's cool to see
Nice.
as well.
Great. Okay, so this is working. We have everything working here. This is all good. Updating, we have everything as needed. Okay, now let's go and do this search input. Stephen, what would you like this to search by? Which CMS fields? That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, I think name's important, but also the description. So see the short description that they have that's in the collection, just because that gives a good sense of their priorities or what that charity is focusing on in a sentence.
Name, description. Would you also like to search for these?
Yeah, sure.
These? Okay. So you can see I'm comma separating this list here. I'm just, everything that Stephen tells me, I'm just going to comma separate it. And this last one is charity type. And now we've added these identifiers, name and description. At this point in time, attributes does not know what that is. We have to actually define what these are. So I'll go and do that right here. This is going to be our name. So we'll call this the FS CMS filter field. This is going to be the name. Let's copy this for speed. And let's do this in the description here. Nice. And let's do this. Okay. That should be it. All right, let's go publish and see if this works. Ooh, I like this last comment from Nick. Webflow needs to make Finsweet the HBO of Webflow TV. That's cool. You know what? You should write into their support about that. I'm kidding. All right, let's
Send,
go. Open
just
this
send
up.
everyone into the comments of Webflow TV. Just be like, yeah, why isn't there a dedicated Finsweet channel on this thing? Streaming all Finsweet all the time, right?
Okay, here we go. So we're going to look at this one. I don't know why this one keeps showing up randomly, but we'll look into this. But you can see yellow halo is coming up here. Let's search for another one. Let's search for education. And you can see we have our education tags coming up. Education. Okay, it may also return in here. The word education will be there. Education, education, great. Art, woven earth, great. So this is working. Now let's go and apply this CMS load, and let's see if that weird one at the end goes away. I still don't know why that is coming up. It's this last one on the list. Hey, come on. Looks good. All right, either way, we're going to continue with our load instance. So the first thing I'm going to do is copy the script. And the reason that we're doing this is so that we can search and filter behind the first page of content. All the searches and all the filterings that we were doing was just on that first page. Whatever Steven has set the pagination to, 10 items or 20 items, that's what we're searching by. So we'll look at that number. When we were doing our searches, we were only searching by 24 items, not the remaining 7 pages. So this implementation is now going to filter through all 7 pages. And the only thing we have to do for that is add our load attributes. CMS load, this is going to be the element, and this will be the list. Now, we have pagination on. That's a requirement for our load. And let's also make sure that we do the show page count. Great. So this is enabled for speed boost. This means that it's going to load everything near instant. And this should be all that we need here. Let's go and see what's on a later page to see if we can return that. So I'll go to page 7 and we'll search for the Cawthron. Okay, we'll start on page 1. Let's push a publish through. I will say I don't know what's up with this. Oh, interesting. Green tick, it shouldn't matter. All right, we'll see. A few seconds ago, let's see what we got. Okay, what do we have? What's happening here? Okay, this is working. And when we search for, please show empty state if possible. Yes, Eve will do this. Am I typing this right? H-A-W? I already forgot the one that we were supposed to search for.
I think it was Cawthron, like C-A-W.
Ah, there we go. That's why it's not showing up. There we go. Okay, so this was on the last page here. And there we go. So this is showing up behind the pagination. Excellent. Okay. Let's now make a couple of nice usability upgrades here. And actually, let me ask you this first, Stephen. Do you want a load under effect like it is now, or do you want a more pagination effect?
I like the pagination effect.
Cool.
Yeah, and also if possible, and if not, that's okay. But with the categories, because obviously there's like 52 of them at the top. So like, yeah, having it kind of limited maybe to just one row if that's possible, but if that's not within this, then that's okay.
Okay, well, let's first do the pagination. So all I need to do for pagination is CMS load mode pagination. That's it. Now we're going to have a next and previous button that go back and forth. Do you want to scroll the user back up to the top of the list after they've gone to the next page?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I think it's a good one. All right, so let's go to the docs for that one. This is not on the top of my head, so we can do anchor scroll. When the user filters the content, 24 pages of scrolled content, when they go next, they'll be scrolled up to the top so they can continue scrolling down. We have to add it to a div block with scroll anchor, and you can absolutely update this afterwards. I'm going to add it right here for now, just so we can see it working. Scroll anchor. Okay, and you'd like one row of this. Like, as in somebody can horizontally scroll through it?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, now that the viewport height makes sense. All right, let's see what we got here.
For anybody who's watching now, I'm going to share in the comments if you're interested in having us go through your site on an upcoming build, or if you've got some interesting implementation of attributes you'd like to look at. I'm going to pin that to the top of the chat there. So there's a form you can submit sites, and I don't know, seems like we might do some more of these, like just live building, problem solving, have the community submit sites and go in and do stuff like this if people like it, you know.
Okay, so this is what you're looking for. And if you were to apply some custom CSS to this, horizontal scroll X, you'll be able to scroll through this horizontally.
Cool.
Is that okay? That I leave
Yeah,
it like this? Cool.
That's perfect.
Oh, where did this search go? Oh, this whole thing is extending here. Fixed up attributes. On first look, I do not know how to fix this. Nice. Okay, so I'll leave it like this. I'm not going to do too much layout stuff, especially on a live project. But there we go. We see everything. We can work with it. Okay, I'm going to do just a few things to improve the experience here. One of those things is going to be a delay on the search. As we can see here, with every single keystroke, we're going to be updating the list. So if I type 1, 2, 1, and I'm just typing things, every single keystroke is going to flash and update the list. Sometimes we may want that, but a lot of times we may not want that. So we have an attribute called Debounce. And Debounce is going to let a delay happen as the user is typing so that it only filters the list after they're done typing. So let's go and apply this to not the list, we're going to apply it to the identifier. So it's only on this search input. And let's just do 400 here so we can really see it. Okay, so that'll do a nice little delay. We have a lot to check here. So let's do that. We have pagination to check. We're going to scroll to top. We're going to check the debounce. And Stephen, think if there's anything else that you want as we push this publish through. Okay, so I'll do yellow. Now I stop. Now it searches. Excellent.
Cool.
Rising, now it filters. And you can see a little bit of a scroll anchor. If you just change the location of that, that'll be great. But the real benefit of that is when you get to the end of the list and you want to go to the next page of pagination, it's going to scroll me to the top so I can continue scrolling through. I never like when I'm at the end of a pagination, it goes next, and then I have to scroll up to the top, and then I have to scroll back down. So it's going to automatically say to the top. Okay.
Cool.
And that's it for the checking. This still works. All good. Anything else?
It seems good for now. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
And also know that if you're ever thinking about a different layout or UI or anything for this, you can consider the select, and also you can consider select with our CMS select option. And also in about a week or two, when we release the custom design select, you can create a super custom element that drops down with these filter options. So you can have search right here, then you can have the drop downs here, and it's just one bar of mega filter.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. Okay, we're all implemented. It's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Nice. So I think that's it, Stephen. There's your site's ready to go. It's whatever changes you got to do on the filter side there, or on that little not the filter, but the little design of those categories. Maybe get that styled up a little bit. Anyway, I'm trying to see if we have any other questions from the audience here. It doesn't look like we have a ton. Let's see, Philip Trott. You've done demos of how to build a site using, let's go ahead and, Stephen, thanks for your time. We'll go ahead and let you pop off here. We can go to this view. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Come over here and let's go back to these comments. Let's see. My comment's not working. There we go. Okay. How to build a site client first from scratch. Can you do one of how to clean up a site while implementing client first? Okay. So they want us to go. That's so hard. It's so hard to do. We've had people have requested this in the past, and it's just been real hard because we never know how a site is built, looks like I'm on the wrong page here. Joe, do you want to answer that? Do you want to talk to that at all?
So Philip, this one's hard because I don't think it's very relatable, in a sense that every project that's not client first has some differences. It could have been built by a pro and it's not client first. It could have been built by intermediate and it's not client first. Could have been built by a novice and it's not client first. There could be a web or a mess of different issues with the site where implementing client first may make sense. It may not make sense. So it is a hard thing to do. It's not something that we're ready to just jump into. I haven't seen a site yet that I look at and I say, ooh, I should change all of the classes to this to client first. Usually my answer is, I'm just going to rebuild this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best way in a lot of instances, because then you're guessing at which classes already exist, which ones don't, which ones in the old site are, combo classes or styled differently or maybe affect other things down the page. And there could be a million different things, that it just becomes harder to try to rebuild than it does to just build it from scratch. So Philip's got a follow up here. I'm just asking because I want to go back and clean up my own sites. I'm definitely not a pro, but I like the system.
Okay.
That's a different play. Maybe understanding where to use certain things. I could certainly see pulling up an old site and being like, oh, this here that you're calling this class should be a global class in this way with client first. I could totally see the value in that kind of thing.
You know what, Reimar, do you think it's a good idea we can ask Philip to send a read-only link, and just for 5 minutes, I'll go through one page. Philip, I'll give you some pointers on how you can improve the naming.
We can for sure do that.
So Philip, go ahead, read only for any of your sites. And if you want me to look at a specific page, I can, or I'll just go for the home page.
Yeah, nice. There you go. That's an offer that you don't want to pass up if you get a chance to put it in the link there. Let's see. Ukulele is saying, can you elaborate a bit more as to what client first means?
Sure. First, I see another question here. What is client first? So the very first thing I'm going to do is share the client first documentation. You're going to have a lot of information inside these docs. But the short version is client first is our naming convention, our Webflow style and class organization system for Webflow. And this helps us build neat and organized websites for our clients. Additionally, it helps other people that use client first interact with the site. The reason it's called client first is it's made for clients or non-technical people, not necessarily always for clients. Sometimes clients don't touch the site. But the idea is somebody who has no idea about Webflow, somebody who is a complete novice, can now go into the project, read the class names, and understand what they mean. So we had launched Client First a few months ago. It has been a huge success internally. I think it's been a huge success externally. And a lot of people are really adopting the system because it's clear, simple, and it's made specifically for Webflow.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a ton of documentation here. It goes into the mindset. There's tons of video content. Actually, I think we're even in the middle of releasing a series on how client first can help you be more productive in Webflow right now on YouTube. We're doing like a once a day video release through Saturday. So if you're interested in learning more about client first, how it can help you be more productive in Webflow, we're seeing it pop up in like job requirements. So people are looking for Webflow developers and they're specifying that they'd like to see folks have experience with client first. And so it is really becoming a good system for building in Webflow and kind of gaining some traction. Reloom just created this huge library. So now there's like component libraries that other people are building on client first. And so client first is, kind of taking on a whole life of its own as it's out in the ecosystem of Webflow. But the core gist is, making things more understandable for anyone to kind of open up the project and get a grasp on that. So good question there.
We
go ahead.
we have a follow-up on that. So it's like
okay.
BEM naming, BEM naming convention. It's similar, but it is not BEM. It's not. BEM has specific rules that we do not care about at all. The only thing that makes it look a little BEM-y is the underscore and the dash concept, but it is not the same.
Nice. Okay. Hey, I did notice earlier, Eve was saying, please show empty state if possible. I think maybe he was talking about on the filter instance.
Yeah.
Are we too far gone on that, or did you already log out?
We are. I
Okay.
am logged out.
We'll do it on another show. It's okay. I just thought of that.
We'll do it.
Yeah. We'll dedicate some time at the beginning or something to show that. Okay. I will for sure be watching the productivity series for client first Webflow style system. Yeah. If you're not, jump over to the YouTube channel. It's the most recent videos we've been publishing. I think we started Monday, and we just got a video a day kind of coming out. Productivity series for client first. It's a great way to kind of get your hands around it outside of like the documentation that already exists, right? So like, all the documentation exists for what client first is and why you should use it, etc. But if you're looking for more of that productivity series, as Amar says, they're nice snacks during the day. So little video content snacks. Philip Trot saying, I'm trying to paste, but the link is too long. Oh, the Webflow share link.
Yep. I've already
nice. Okay.
been sent. He's going to send it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so all right. Yeah, I think that's all we got until we get this link from Philip. Joe, any other thoughts while we're waiting here?
I don't think so. Oh, we were going to tease our UI kit.
That's right.
Let's tease the UI kit.
For everyone who is patiently watching at this point still here.
Eve's going to be so mad. He's privately working on this, but Harshit blew it up.
Harshit blew him up earlier, and your URL is blocked. Your URL bar is blocked up there. Hang on, I think.
Right.
Let me do something real quick. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Joe, that's your. Nope. Let me turn my video off and Joe's screen I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. Oh, give me 1 second. See, I didn't have it blocked off on this one. I was about to spill the goods. Would have been tragic. Okay. Transition. There we go.
Nice. Okay, so we're working on this filter UI kit, and it's going to give you a bunch of copy-paste clonable options for creating radio buttons and checkboxes. So we want to show you that radios and checkboxes don't have to look like radios and checkboxes. They can have SVGs. They can have absolutely nothing. They can have images and text. So look at this. We're going to give all of this away to you as a clonable. We're going to continue growing this library, and we'll add more and more components in here. We'll start to add range sliders. We'll start to add anything, toggles. And we want to, we want to make sure that you can implement attributes as fast as possible. And really, the most time-consuming thing with attributes is just building it in Webflow. So if we can give you the tools to quickly copy and paste these elements in Webflow, now the setup process is even quicker. So that's it for the filter components. Let's go into this project. So if you're just coming in here, we are looking at Philip's project, and Philip had asked, how do I convert a site to client first? And we told him there's no easy answer to that, but right now I'm going to give him some feedback and opinions on the naming convention.
Nice.
First, let's scroll through this. Let's see what we have. We have some content. Okay, fairly simple page here. Let's look at this. Wave section, plane section, section. Okay, the very first thing, before I start to get into this deep, we have 3 different naming conventions for section. This is camel case, this is space with capitalized, and this is single word. So the first thing, to be more unified, name these all the same. Wave dash section, plane dash section, footer dash section, whatever these are. And I would be a little bit more descriptive than plane and wave. This is not giving me enough context unless it's used all throughout the build, which it's not. We only have one on this page. So if I were going to name this, I would call this the home hero section. Or if I'm following client first, it's actually like this. One on this page. So this is the section, home, other. I'm not going to name them specifically. Home hero div, I would not call anything div. They're just, unless you really need to specify that this is a div element, because the person looking at this needs to know it's div, it just is not needed. So what I'm going to do here is call this the home hero. This will be a component, and this will be the image.
And this goes to a really good question, actually, that you can maybe describe as we're talking about this. Jeremy's asking, can you explain when you use the dash versus the underscore there? And you just did that.
Yeah.
So can you just walk through why you did that and why you use those?
Would love to. We use an underscore in client first to specify a component. A component is anything that can be seen as a full structure, a full element. It could be a UI element, it could be a slider, it could be a hero, it could be a footer. It's just a way for you to stay more organized so that when I name this with home, hero, now this is the image, I know that these are part of the same component. These exist in the build for the same reason. They're part of the home hero. And same with this. It's one on this page. This is not throughout the build. So what I'm going to call this is the home hero Lottie. Now, instead of all these mismatched classes, I have this structure where I say, okay, this class, and this class were all created for the home hero. And of the home hero, we have the image wrapper, the image, and the Lottie. So I would, Philip, go through each one of these. And the first thing, even if you're not very fluent in client first, try to keep the same naming convention. We have this very developer-y JavaScript camel case. We have the spaces and we have some capitalized. Keep it all the same. And I'll just do one more example of this. Let's call this the applications. I see that word here.
And this is Philip saying, this is my first site in Webflow, so I was just figuring things out, which is perfect learning experience. This is super common. Like I even go into older sites and things that, because I'm not building as much as I used to anymore. And so like I go into sites and I'm looking at my, naming conventions. I'm like, like some of those clonables and some of those things. And so, yeah, it happens to the best of us. The goal is just to, learn, some more structure moving forward and finding a little bit of that consistency. It just starts looking nicer. You'll start seeing your navigator there will just feel more easily navigable. It'll be easier for you to kind of understand what each element goes to and where they're sitting.
Yeah, and Philip, I will double that comment. This is not bad, especially for a first site. I'm not trying to rip this apart. Just giving some good next steps here. And now look at what we have here with this home hero. I can now say, I want to do this new thing. I want to explore a class, and I'm going to search for everything in my home hero. So now I can see all the classes that match home hero. And it's really nice to be able to search by this underscore here. Look how we cancel out things that are not part of the component. This is technically not part of our component. Nice. And now when you have 50 classes or 100 classes or 30 pages, this becomes more and more powerful as you continue building.
Yeah. Maria's asking a follow-up here. How would you name it if it's used on more pages? So you have that component that you just created, home hero, but what would you do if it was not on the home page, if it was just a hero?
Sure. Take out the word home. That's it. That's what I would do. If there's another word to describe it, you can do that. If maybe it's a universal or it's a option A, you can have different heroes, hero A, hero B, hero 1, hero 2. But if it's just, let's say it's the universal hero, this is happening everywhere in the project, I would just call it hero.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm using home is because I see it's used on only one page, which is telling me this is specific to the home page. It's not used elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, and maybe if it's going to be something that on every page you want some kind of hero section, but it's not the home page, it could be top page hero, because maybe you want a hero section that's like a middle page hero, so like, this is where the flexibility client first comes in. It's just you name something that describes what it is and, just kind of use that to, to give yourself some checkpoints as you go. Melissa Chan is saying, after knowing client first, I realized what a nightmare I've been. Yeah, we all do it. It's like, even now, I bet you go in and you see some of these sites and there's mistakes, and it's not always going to be perfect. The goal is to just give it as much structure as you can so that it's scalable. And a lot of this doesn't really come into play until you have lots of other editors that have to go into big sites,
Right.
If you're just the only person jumping in there and, maybe whatever, it's not too crazy a deal.
Right. Okay, nice. Anything else? Any other questions about this build? Should I close this out?
Yeah,
Philip, do you have any final asks for us?
He's just saying we're doing awesome stuff. He's a big fan. Keep up the great work. So yeah, thanks for hanging with us, Philip. Tell a friend to like the video. That's how you can pay us right now. We appreciate that. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, Tim was asking, I've used the filter function with the visual scriptwriter, which right off the bat, using visual scriptwriter leads me to believe he's talking about the CMS library, not attributes. But a question, what if I want to filter by two options, let's say by price and category? Totally doable with attributes, and I even believe with CMS filter too, but obviously everything's moving to attributes, so you'll want to make the jump into attributes on that, I think.
Yeah.
Am I misreading anything there, Joe, or any other thoughts?
No, Yeah, Tim, I think you're going to be able to achieve that with attributes. We have so many solutions to be able to link content and get content where you need to go. I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And you can add, he's saying, does it give all the options, for example, below $20 and everything in category jumping? Or is it also possible to show the options that are below $20 and in the category jumping? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
We have range. You can filter by range and you can specify a from and a to. And using that, you would be able to create something as you're describing.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, let's see. What about class naming for hide at smaller breakpoints?
In client first, I believe we have responsive specific hide classes. So you can hide something with a global class, hide on mobile, on tablet, on desktop.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if I remember, we talked about, do you add in new combos? She's asking as a follow-up. Yeah, check the documentation on the responsive section. That's the best place to send people, I think.
And Melissa, it really depends on the case. We're not giving a very clear answer here because maybe it does need a combo class. Maybe it is applied directly to the class. Maybe you want to use a global class to apply that hide. So it really depends on the use case.
Right.
Tim, do we have a link to the attributes? Of course we do. And I'm happy to share that in the chat right now.
We can just do this too, I think. Let me see. Will it do it? There we go. It's up on the screen, the finsweet.com/attributes.
Nice.
Let's see. Layouts are harder things for naming. Yeah, when you get into like the layouts and stuff, if you get into like different components, sometimes you can start running out of names and stuff. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jeremy, okay, that makes sense. Thanks for the explanation. I think I complicate myself too many stuffs. You can easily do that. You start getting in the habit of just creating a new class for every little thing you want to apply style-wise on a page. And this is very common, like when I was working with folks early on who didn't kind of understand global classes. You just go in, you start, okay, I want something to do something. I give it almost like layers in Photoshop, right? I just give it a name. And I would just start naming all these different divs. And next thing you know, you have it looks organized because, like you called everything nicely, but you got a million classes on a single page. And it just, that can get complicated for sure. Especially when then you start editing on other pages and you don't realize what's happening. And yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I think that's it.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.